This is Bruce Knowlton, an elder at John Knox Church, and I'm going to share with you some thoughts around reorienting ourselves with God. About 1.5 years ago, I completed a study of 3 books of the Old Testament: Exodus, Joshua, and Judges. Exodus describes the story of the Israelites who were at the time were living as slaves in exile in Egypt. Describes their journey back to Israel, the Promised Land. This was in fulfillment of God's covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The story talks about how God raised up a leader in Moses and how Moses led the people back to Israel. It talks about the amazing things that God did for his people in that journey. First, parting the waters of the Red Sea so that the Israelites could cross and get away from the pursuing armies of Pharaoh. Describes their journey in the desert where they had no food and water, and yet God provided everything for them. And then finally, when it was time to cross into Israel, God even parted the waters of the Jordan so that they might safely cross. Through it all, we see a picture of a God that is loving and caring, a God that provides for everything, but a God that also demands things such as recognize him as the one true God, the only God. And in this time, we see the Israelites rebel at times, doing things like building a golden calf and worshiping that instead of God. They did that in the desert, and then when they were in Israel, they even assimilated, some of them assimilated with the Canaanites, who were idol worshipers themselves, turning away from God, all in defiance of what God had asked them to do. Some of them even longed for the days when they were living as slaves in Egypt, preferring that life that was predictable, even if it was miserable, as compared to the life ahead of them in the Promised Land that was unpredictable, but that required full faith and trust in God and his providence. I found these scriptures to be incredibly revealing and also comforting during this time of isolation that we're in. Also, I would offer you 4 activities that you can do, or you can either fortify or do more of, to strengthen and reorient yourself with God during this time. These 4 items are mission. One of the most important things that I've done during this period of isolation in this pandemic is to participate in the community meal, where we at John Knox serve anywhere from 200 to 250 meals to local residents who stop in. We provide them with a hot meal, groceries, maybe words of encouragement, and a smile. All to the glory of God and for the grace of God. It's a great experience. Secondly, online worship. Now, I'll be the first to say I am not as good at online worship. I much prefer it in person. But it's grown on me to the point where I really do feel a deep sense of connection with God during this time. Thirdly, prayer. For reasons that I can't describe, my prayer life tailed off a bit during this period of isolation. Yet the need out there was great, whether it's need within the world or even need within myself and my family. But I've really recommitted myself to prayer because there's so much need out there. It's both people we know and many that we don't know. So I would encourage you to pray for your family, pray for yourself, pray for your community, but just keep praying. And also make prayer your first resort, not your last resort. Finally, fellowship. Whether it's fellowship in a Zoom meeting or a socially distant gathering, we were not made to be alone. We really need to be in relationship with each other, just as God expects us to be in relationship with him. So take every opportunity to be with others and to share in fellowship with others. I'd also offer another thought here, and this is regarding the division that we have in our country today. The division along political lines and other things, many of which are rooted in deep, deep wounds associated with white privilege, white supremacy, institutionalized racism, inequality, and poverty. The concept of agape love comes to mind, and I'll recount a story here. Recently, Lori and I were meeting with another couple. We had a nice discussion until it got to politics. It became pretty clear that us couples were on different ends of the spectrum. This couple had a belief in the role of government and the role of how to care for people, different from how Lori and I felt. At some point in this conversation, one of us asked, well, what is it that we can bank on? What is it that we can build our foundation on? What is it that we can see eye to eye on? To me, the first thought that came to mind was agape love. Now, agape love is not a love of emotion. Agape love is a principled love, and it has at least three qualities. First of all, it's wanting what's best for others, not just ourselves. Secondly, it's unconditional love. And thirdly, and this is probably the most difficult, it's self-sacrificing love. And there's no better example than in Jesus Christ. God so loved this world that he sent his only Son, Jesus Christ, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. A God that so loves us that he would give his life for his friends. Now that's amazing love. So I would offer agape love, and understanding it better, is a roadmap for how to navigate through these difficult times of division. Because it also gives us a roadmap into how to treat others and ultimately how to love others as ourselves. For the two greatest commandments are love your God with all your heart. That's what God was expecting of the Israelites. And now, through Jesus Christ, love our neighbor as ourselves. The two greatest commandments. So remember, you are not alone. God cares for you, and so do we.